So how many of us head to the foothills to kind of get away from the hustle and bustle and the sounds of the city? Oh yeah, they're a place of peace, all right. You're gonna find, some dusty trails, chirping birds, maybe the occasional mountain biker. But if you listen closely and you're in the right part of the foothills, well, you can hear they're not just echoing with birdsong. As Hunter Funk found out, they rumble with history and some horsepower.
This is the time of year in the Boise foothills. The tranquil area trades quiet for chaos. Welcome to the not-so-peaceful Cove, home of OMC, the Owyhee Motorcycle Club, the host of the longest-running and third-largest vintage race in the country. At this race, the engines are old, but the history of the club is even older.
We're going to cut the radio for a minute for a news interview.
OMC has been here since 1940. We're 85 years old at this location.
It all ignited on a May day in 1935, where 7 men started a group called the Western Ramblers Club. They held races in ballparks and in the community. By 1940, the group landed on a new name, the Owyhee Motorcycle Club.
Yeah, when it started, there wasn't really motocross bikes. There was guys that took their street bikes and stripped them down, and that's where that club vibe started.
The club was born before motocross even had a name. In 1946, Don Gamble purchased 80 acres as a place for its members to gather and to host both social and recreational motorcycle activities.
They used to do all kinds of weird stuff, like slow races to see who can go the slowest without touching, or they had the blindfold race with people would have their girlfriends or wives on, and the riders would be blindfolded and the passengers telling them where to go.
From there, it morphed into the racing we know today, and the club still calls the same 80 acres home. For Rod Reynolds, a member for more than 50 years,
I started riding at OMC in 1972.
He says being in the club isn't about winning, but rather belonging.
A lot of people, they have friends that come in and out of their lives, but with me, my family has been here for 50 plus years. All the guys that are here pitting with us today, we've all grown up racing together. It's just a family environment. My son is the 4th generation of racers up here. So we've dedicated a lot of our life into this.
It's a legacy built into his family, and even in Idaho, as it's the oldest continuously operating club in the state. On October 6, 2022, OMC became the first motorcycle club and track in the country to land on the National Register of Historic Places.
That was one of my last contributions, I guess, to the club, was this National Historical Registry. And with all the urban sprawl coming in around us, we felt that that was one of the ways we could actually save the club.
In its 85 years, the track has hosted races bringing in people from across the world. And what's more fitting for a club and a track with a long history than a vintage race, bringing the past back to life.
This is one of the largest vintage motorcycle races in the country.
When they started these races in 2008, there were 68 racers. Today, there's about 700, some coming from Italy, France, even Ireland. And they have to ride bikes from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s.
I'm riding a motorcycle that I rode in the 70s.
Scott Wallenberg says it's not about speed.
My goal when I race is to make sure that my 50-year-old motorcycle doesn't break and that I don't break. And so if those two things happen and I finish, that's great,
It's memories that racers hope will live well beyond the 85 years of history.
My hope is it's here for my grandkids. Yeah, a lot of memories at this place.
And they hold the vintage race every single year. And age does not matter. From teens to even an 81-year-old rider, Brian, everyone is doing it at this point.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, making sure the bike doesn't break and then he doesn't break.
Yeah, big
in that
news.
order, probably.
Scott did make it, so
Yes.
he is safe. No one was broken. So did his bike.
That's amazing. The guy was emotional about riding a motorcycle.
You know, he made me tear up a little bit, I gotta be honest, because he talks about how big of a family it is. It's kind of like this big reunion when they all come together. But the other thing that I didn't have time to mention in the story was one of his buddies. They have both been riding together for 50 years. So, wow. I mean, their families have basically grown up together.
That's exactly what he said. And can you imagine them trying to hold a blind race, the insurance liability that they would have to do?
I was like, you cannot do that today.
That's not happening today. That's amazing. All right, thanks, Hunter.